Hi, my name is Noel Davis with World Composting, and today we're going to take a look at our African nightcrawler system in our urban worm bag. Now, it has been 4 months, I think, since my last update, which just shows I'm hoping that we still have worms in there because it has been cooler. I am hoping that they were able to survive this long time of me not really checking on them other than adding a little bit of moisture to the system. And I'm sure if there are worms in there, they are hungry and probably cold since we have actually had our first snow here in about, I think they said 700 days on the news. So with that, we're going to take a look at this system. I know it's been a long time, and I know that's not great, and I don't need to hear comments about that. We could talk about that later. But really what I want to get back into is taking care of my worms that I've not been doing over the last 3 to 5 months, really, because of the Vitamix that I've had here, and because of just my life is fairly busy with work and my kids and everything. So with that, let's jump into the system, take a look, and I'm going to try to get better about putting out videos on a weekly basis like I used to in the past and see how that goes. So with that, we'll take a look at our system and see how it's doing. All right, as I said, it's been about 4 months since we last checked on this system. I do have a mask ready to go just in case there's a lot of mold in here or stuff like that. So we're going to just open this up here and take a quick look and see how things are going. First off, got a spider crawling in there. Throw him off to the side. And I am going to keep my mask on because I do see some black mold. I have no idea what kind of mold that is, but we're also going to be adding in other stuff that's shredded and everything, so we're going to go ahead and keep that on. So first off, this is fairly dry, which I'm not surprised about at all. I'm going to move that out of the way, and I'm going to grab my gloves. As I said, I have added some water to this in the past, but I know that by now it's all dried up. But look at this. You can just see right here. Got a layer of dry paper. Some coffee grounds on top. We're just going to move this all off to the side. Make sure that lid's out of your way. And we're going to dig in here and see what's alive. First off, we're seeing a lot of these little millipedes in here. These are another composting thing. They've somehow found their way in here, which happens. Not a big deal. Oh, wait, hold on. I thought I saw a worm. We do. We have our first worm in here, and these are only African nightcrawlers, so this is a little small for an African nightcrawler. Not very lively, which is a little bit worrisome. But hopefully as we get down in here, we'll find maybe some more. Oh, we do. Look at this. They're not very lively. They're really looking for moisture right now. It's going to shake off some. Oops. They're sliding out of my hands. See, that's how dry they are. They really, really need some moisture. They're trying to conserve energy probably by not moving around a whole lot. But what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and start adding. We're going to add some moisture here. As you can see, this is great compost. Oh, hold on. We had some moist apples in it, looks like, in here. And right over here, this was getting consumed a little bit. But we also saw, at least I did, I don't know if you can see this on the video or not. Let me pull them up here. There were some worms over here that looked a little bit more lively. They started moving when I pulled up that apple. So there's a whole bunch of them over here. They're all trying to get to that moisture. And that's what we're going to go ahead and give them today first. So we're going to go ahead and put this back. We are not going to add any cold food today. We're going to kind of mix this up a little bit. And we're going to make sure they get the moisture they need down in here. So with that, I mean, this stuff is just really, really dry. But first off, I'm going to go ahead and turn on my water here. If I can find the on switch. I've got my little sprayer. Whoops. I'm just going to go ahead. This is what I was doing before. Just moistening all this down. There we go. I think we're running out of water in this system, though. I think I'm going to have to switch to my bucket system here in a minute. Yep. That's it for the water in there, unfortunately. I knew that was running a little bit low as I've been using it without refilling it. But that's okay, because the next plan is to dump water in here just in general. So I've got my bucket right next to the system, and we're just going to go ahead and just dump water in here. This is going to be, there's going to be a lot of water going into the system to get it moist. Now the other thing we need for these worms is also some heat. These worms prefer it a lot warmer. I bet if we were to look in here, I didn't think to do this. I'm a little out of practice. But normally I'd also check the temperature, because if the temperature is cold, these worms really do like it warm. And I do happen to have my temperature gun right here. So yeah, like you can see right now, it says 60 degrees. These worms like it in the 90s. 60 degrees is where they start dying. So what we're going to do is we're going to add some stuff that's going to be fairly potent for adding heat. And that is, this is a mixture of stuff from the Vitamix that I have. We're going to dump a whole bunch of that in there. Oops. Now, believe it or not, this stuff generates a ton of heat because it is essentially composted food that's been dried out. Once it gets moisture on it, it starts to hot compost. So we're going to add a bunch of this in here, and this is going to get this warmed up. Now, the important part with this is the fact that this can get so hot you really need the worms someplace to run, which I found is they have a whole bunch of material down below that they can run into. But we're going to mix this up just like this. That way this can kind of hot compost. And that way we can kind of get this system going a little better for these worms. Now you can't do this with every worm. These African night crawlers, they like the heat. If you did this to your reds, they might not really like it very much. Or Europeans, which really prefer much cooler temperatures, I've found, they won't like it. Now, the other thing I'm going to add to this is something a little different. This is something I did show in a video fairly recently, and I'm taking off the lid right now. This is my homemade charcoal, and this is just peanut shells that I burned in this container here. And we're just going to go ahead and add some of those. And again, I have my mask on, but we're going to go ahead and crush these up. Just like that. Kind of work these in there a little bit too. Again, I am wearing a mask for this, everyone. So this is a mixture of peanut shells that have been burned in a fire. Some of them not fully, like this one right here wasn't fully burned. But they've been burned without oxygen. There we go. Let me just put this off to the side. Cover this back up. And what I'm sort of hoping with this is the fact that once this gets inoculated, when I add this stuff, when this gets through the bin and gets into my soil, I'll have all of this carbon that's going to have a ton of great biodiversity and microbes on it, is my hope. And also I found that this is one of the few ways that I can really kind of get rid of my peanut shells, because they don't really break down in a compost bin, I have found. So with that, I think we've added a good amount of moisture here. Just kind of mix this up a little bit more from the sides. As I said, this is going to heat up, hopefully. As you can see, this is just really, really dry. In fact, I'm going to add a little bit more water to this. I just really want to make sure these worms have enough moisture, because they breathe through their skin and they need that moisture. I'll have to refill my sprayer later. There we go. I think that... There we go. I think that might be good. Just kind of spread this out a little bit more too. Looks pretty moist now. As I said, I am going to try to get back into checking these also more frequently. I'm going to get one more thing of water here. And I'm going to just go ahead and spill this over my glove so I can rinse off my glove here. There we go, nice and clean. But I am going to try to do this more frequently, but this so far was a really good first checkup for this system. There are still worms in here, thankfully. They are definitely cold and they are definitely hungry. So we're going to go ahead and we put in that food. That's going to start the hot composting process. Hopefully they'll be able to break down the rest of this cardboard that's in here as it starts to heat up and break down even faster. And the last thing we're going to do is we're going to put back this cover again. We want to keep that on there. We want to keep these guys nice and warm. We got to keep that moisture in. And I probably should have something that fits a little better, but this so far works pretty well. And with that, we're going to close this back up. Now, over the next couple days, hopefully, I'm going to try to check out all of my systems and get back into this. We might consolidate a little bit as we go. I'm sort of have a lot of stuff going on in my life, and I really just can't spend as much time as I used to with my systems, unfortunately. But good things that are going on. You know, as I said, kids, work, these are good things to have to take up your time, but just not as much time to do this. And the Vitamix is a much easier way to compost, I have found, and that's been what I've been using a lot lately. So with that, though, I'm going to try to get back into my worm composting. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below and let me know. Thank you for watching.